Okay, everyone, you may settle down for today's Dhamma talk. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So bhante viditvana mache mandana lipati. Sambrumi Mahapurisoti Soda Sibbani Machagati. Venerable Swami Nansa, dear Dhamma friends, today we have the second opportunity during this retreat to discuss certain Dhamma matters. Now, for this we have selected a sutta from the book called Sutta Nipata. And in that there's a section called Parayana Vakka, and this particular verse is in the Tissameththeya Manava Pucca. This young Brahmin who came to Buddha is asking a question from him. He is asking about the pursuit of happiness. How to find happiness in this world. That's his question. Now when it comes to the exact Pali term that was used, Santutti. Santutti is the word used. So we can translate it as happiness. Maybe fulfillment is even better. So how to find fulfillment in this world? How to be satisfied with your life? That's the question that was asked. And Buddha answered with the verse that I mentioned. So this question, when you think about this question, it's a question that is common to all the humanity, all the people, despite of whatever the religion or the nationality, all of them would prefer to have fulfillment in their lives. They would prefer to be happy in their lives. So this question, it is a question related to humanity. I think probably like a couple of weeks ago, we have done this master training program for the Tamil speaking teacher trainers, mostly Northeast. And we have conducted it for like 8 weeks, every week 2.5 hours, and for 8 weeks. So it was conducted in Tamil. I have no understanding of the language, but I went for the Q&A and somebody was translating. And during those weeks, they too were practicing, doing the sitting, walking and daily practices. And when they progressed, probably like 5-6 weeks into the program, most of them were talking about the benefits that they have experienced. Few weeks of practice, but they are talking about the benefits. They are saying that I can live my life more peacefully. I feel less stress. I feel less prone to anger. Those are the comments given by them. So you can see there is a language barrier, there is a religious barrier, there is a nationality barrier. Right? But among all these things, going through all these barriers, the practice works. So you can see whatever the nationality, whatever the religion, whatever the race, it is a question related to humanity. How to find fulfillment in this world. How to be happy in this world. And Buddha answers saying, So bhante viditvana mache mantana likvati tam brumi mahapurisoti soda sibbani machaga. Having understood both ends, the wise one does not sit in the middle. I call him a great man. He has transcended the world or transcended the craving. That's the answer Buddha is giving. Having understood both ends, the wise one doesn't sit in the middle. That's the practice. That's the way towards fulfillment. That's the way towards happiness. That's how Buddha explained it. Right? So, yesterday also we mentioned the beautiful thing about this story or this sutta, he is not defining the two ends. He is not defining the middle. He is simply saying, having understood both ends, the wise one doesn't stick to the middle. That's all he is saying. Right? So you can see it is open for interpretation. You can interpret it in different ways. Now yesterday I took the time interpretation, past, future and the present. That's the interpretation based on time. Today we will discuss the interpretation based on feeling. This is interpreted based on feeling. What are the two ends? First end is the pleasurable feeling. Second end is the painful feeling. And what's the middle? Neutral feeling. Or neither painful nor pleasurable feeling. You can say neutral. Neutral feeling. That's the middle. So this is the interpretation when you think about the feeling. And let's say in our usual behavior, we don't like to feel pain. That is common to all of us. We prefer feeling pleasure. Right? That's our behavior. So it is called pain-pleasure principle. You try to reduce or avoid pain. Either reduce or avoid it fully. And increase or create pleasure. That's the usual behavior. Think about whatever that you are doing. All your work, all your business, all your family matters. Whatever you do, you are striving towards this goal. In a way, it's a pleasure-seeking behavior. Pain, pleasure principle, usually this is how people behave. They want to minimize or get rid of pain. They want to maximize or create pleasure. So in a way, it's a pleasure-seeking behavior. Whatever the work, whatever the enjoyments that you do, whatever the travel that you do, all of these things are based on this principle. We are chasing pleasure while running away from pain. Right? Let's say sometimes certain addictions. These addictions are pleasure-seeking behaviors. Let's say alcoholism or some drugs. There was this very nice video and that person was interviewing drunk kids. Right? Basically, he go and ask, why do you drink? And their answers, it's in a way, it's philosophical. They say, I want to feel less friction in this life. When I drink for at least few hours, I feel less friction. I want to enjoy this life, go to the people, talk to them. That I can do easily when I am drunk. And I want to forget my problems. And that too I can do when I am drunk. So you can see dog, they are seeking for that pleasure. And you might condemn people getting drunk. But even who are not getting drunk using alcohol or drug, you do have certain ways of getting this dog. For example, certain addictions. Let's say social media addictions. Every time you go, probably you go for few minutes. But you end up consuming few hours there. Right? So it's called a feed. It is feeding you. What is it feeding? It is feeding you the dog. You are going through each and every video. You are not fully fulfilled. But there is some kind of a kick that you get. then the next video, then the next video, then the next video. That way you keep on feeding this content. Right? And that platform is specially designed to keep you there without letting you go. They have done so much research, so much science gone into these social media sites, and longer they keep you, more money they make. Right? So you can see that type of addictions also in a way giving you a dog. Then some people, they are addicted to food. They have that type of addiction. Right? So a variety of addictions are there, not only drugs or alcohol, but there are other ways of pleasure seeking. So you can see we are chasing after pleasure. That's one behavior. And let's say you keep on chasing. You keep on chasing money. You keep on chasing company of certain people. You keep on chasing these variety of things. But in the process, most of the time you get frustrated. You get angry. You get disappointed. Those type of incidents happen. When that happens, when you have pent up anger, when you are disappointed about this world, usually you go into the other extreme. What's that extreme? It's a pain-seeking behavior. Right? That too is there. Some people, they have so much pent up anger, and they are doing things that's harming themselves and even harmful to others. And they have some kind of attachment towards this behavior and pleasure seeking. Usually most of the meditators are in this state. Unfortunately, sorry to say, but most of them are pain-seeking behaviors they have. Even for the sake of the practice, they seek pain. They exhaust themselves. They don't eat right. They don't exercise. They don't do the necessary maintenance for their body or mind. But simply holding on to the practice. That doesn't get you anywhere. Right? So these pain-seeking behaviors are also there. So these type of behaviors, these type of things are there in our life. Right? So Buddha is talking about pain and pleasure. He's defining or he's mentioning the two ends. And when it comes to these ends, pain, pleasure, we know. It's like two sides of the same coin. But he's defining a middle as well. That neutral feeling, neither painful nor pleasurable feeling, that is somewhat new to the worldly people. They don't know that there is a neutral feeling in this world. Usually they are at either pleasurable extreme or they are at either painful extreme. Those are the two ends that they usually know. But Buddha is defining this neutral feeling as well. And let's say when you start meditating, when you try to bring your attention to the breathing, or when you try to stay with the sensations of your feet, that's usually a neutral feeling. I'm saying usually. Most of the time, these sensations are a neutral feeling, bodily sensations. Right? So when you try to fix your attention on the breathing, you can really see how scattered your mind is, how agitated your mind is. The mind, probably for decades, has only identified the pleasure and pain, those two ends. And when you try to fix your attention on the neutral feeling, it is a whole new struggle. Because we have been experiencing this, but we haven't brought any attention towards this neutral feeling. Right? But as practitioners, as meditators, first we have to hold on to the neutral feeling. You are holding on to the middle. If you want to understand those two extremes, in a way you have to hold on to the middle. And when you do that, you can feel that your mind is going to two ends. Either to the pleasurable end or either to the painful end. The mind is traveling. Time after time it goes to those two extremes. More like bipolar. Highest of highs, lowest of lows. When we say bipolar, it's some kind of a mental illness. Not that extreme, but all of us, we too are experiencing this bipolar in our mind. Sometimes it goes to the pleasurable end, sometimes it goes to the painful end. Right? During our meditation, that experience is common. So in a way, by holding on to the middle, we are trying to understand these two ends. We are trying to understand the pleasurable and painful end. And the yogis, the meditators, they get so many opportunities to understand it. Our daily difficulties, that's a way to understand it. Now usually most people in their meditation reports, they talk about pain. They say, I was painful due to bodily aches, pains, and this is how I felt. They say, I had this experience and it was so painful. But nobody talks about the pleasure. Why is that? Because pleasure is pleasurable, no? Right? So you don't dare talk about it. You only want to get rid of the painful part. That's why so many reports talk about pain. But they how to get rid of this pain. That's the question asked. But nobody talks about pleasure. I would encourage you to observe the pleasure as well. Now let's say when you are in a happy state, simply observe, simply be mindful. When you are overwhelmed with joy, simply notice how your body has changed. When you are in a party, simply notice how you feel. Right? So that way, we have to understand both of these extremes. Pain and pleasure. Both of these extremes we have to understand. We have to experiment with it. That's the whole practice. We are experimenting with these two ends. We are understanding these two ends. That's the whole practice. That's why we are here. As a residential retreat, we do that. Even when you practice at home, you try to understand these two ends. That's what we do. Right now, there's this, I think he's from Greek, Seneca. He talks about this point. He says, don't only indulge in pleasure. Experiment with the pain as well. Because one day, your comfortable life won't be there, and one day you might encounter pain in this life. So he's saying, be prepared, get ready for this encounter. Don't be ignorant and stay indulging only pleasure. He's suggesting us some kind of an experiment. He's saying, leave your money, leave your phone at home, and simply walk, go somewhere. When you are hungry, you have to find something to eat. Maybe you have to beg. When you are sleepy, you have to sleep somewhere. When you are thirsty, you have to find some water. Right? So he is suggesting that we should let go of our comfortable lives and simply experiment with the pain as well. That is his idea. And some people, maybe like a couple of years ago, they have done a Seneca workshop. Right? What's the purpose of that? You register for that workshop. You have to come to the center. You have to hand over your keys. You have to hand over your phone, wallet, everything. And they will give you some worn-off clothes to wear. Right? And with an instructor, they will let you roam into the city. So you have no money, you are dressed like a beggar, and you have to figure out a way to live for a couple of days. That's the whole workshop. So when of people come to this place, they hand over their keys, they hand over their wallet, and they join for this workshop. And what will happen, do you think? Right? So they start early in the morning, couple of hours into the day, they feel hungry. Now they want to find something to eat. Maybe like a homeless experience. So they are trying to beg for some food. And people are ignoring them, blaming them for begging. Right? Then towards the end they need to find some place to sleep. So they find some shelter under a tree and try to sleep there. But what happens? All the mosquitoes, all the flies, these things are coming and bothering them. So they can't sleep. Some of them break down. Beg for a phone, call husband and ask him to save from this workshop. And some people are crying, I want to go home. I'm so tired and frustrated. So this way, it was a very nice workshop, Seneca experience. Right? And when you come to a retreat, the same thing applies. You come, you hand over your keys, wallets, phones, everything, keep aside, and simply join more like a homeless experience. You are supplied with somebody else's food, and you are meditating. That home kind of comfort is not there. But still you somehow try to manage. When you sit, all the flies, mosquitoes come and they bother you. Right? Mosquitoes come and they inject. And your mind goes crazy. Is this a dengue mosquito? Is this chikungunya? Right? All those thoughts come. So you can see how much of a struggle this is in our mind. You are residential for only like 3-4 days, but how much of a struggle that you have to go through. Right? So in a way, we are experimenting with this. We are trying to understand the pain. We are trying to understand the pleasure. You are healthy, you don't have a disease. You are not on your deathbed. But still, well before, you try to get prepared. Right? One day, you will have to encounter these type of incidents. And when that day comes, if you are prepared, then that's the very idea. All of us, we have to go through death. We feel like all the other people are going through the death. I am not going to that place. That experience I won't have. That's the thinking in our mind. But without you even knowing, that day might come. Recall that an accident happened few days ago. 300, 200 plus people. They were having so many hopes flying to UK. But what happened? Within only few minutes, crashed. And one guy, he survived. He even doesn't know how he survived. Right? At one time he is telling something, next moment he is saying something totally opposite. Guy can't remember, but he is not saying I can't remember, he is creating stories in his mind. This is how I was saved. Right? So you can see all those people, they had high hopes. They had future plans, maybe like decades ahead. But still, everything was over within few minutes. So all of us, one day, we too will have to go through pain, that death, that ultimate pain. that we'll have to go through. Right? That day is uncertain. That's why Buddha says, death reflection. You don't know when is your time. So you better get prepared for it. This practice is preparing for this extreme pain one day you might have to go through. You have to prepare for it. That's why we are practicing time after time. In a way, you can define this practice saying, die before you die. You are practicing, you are letting go of your body, you are letting go of your concepts, you are letting go of your thoughts, opinions. It's psychological suicide. So before the death appears, you are preparing yourself for the death. And if you do that correctly, then when the death comes, you don't have to worry much. If you are unprepared, then you will cry, scream, ask for help, but nobody can help you. Now there was this very nice activity in one of the programs, and one person, it was more like a thought experiment. And the thought experiment was, let's say one of the audience members, they are asked, now you are diagnosed with cancer. Doctor says you have only 3 months. What will you do during these 3 months? What are your priorities? Then this person has to think for a while and answer, what are my priorities if I only have 3 months? Then this person is creating this very nice story, telling, I won't probably use these phones or devices. I might go to some calm, quiet place, comfortable place, and I might eat delicious food, probably sweets, and I need my family members around me. That is how I will spend last 3 months of my life. But this person is forgetting, diagnosed with cancer part. Right? This is more like a fantasy, no? It is like Titanic kind of ending. You die, somebody kiss your forehead, and that's it. But when you research into certain cancers, it will reduce the quality of your life. You will be in extreme pain during the last period. Right? So you can't have all those fantasies. Instead, you will be in a hospital, agitated with extreme pain, crying, asking for help, and die. Right? So those type of things are there in this uncertain world. So in a way, this practice will prepare us towards whatever the uncertainty that to come. Right? So we are doing the meditation. Sometimes the pain appears. And when that comes, we are trying to experiment with this pain. In a sitting posture, most of us can't maintain the posture for a long time. Let's say 45 minutes, 30 minutes you can. 1 hour, difficult. Especially if you don't do walking meditation as much, then you might have a difficulty with your sitting posture. Usually walking meditation helps you with the posture. Now even I feel nearing 1 hour it's getting difficult. Because I remember last few weeks I didn't do much walking meditation. So when that pain comes, the initial reaction is to get up or change the posture. We don't like pain, we don't want to experiment with it. But Buddha says you have to understand these two ends. That's important. Right? So for the sake of the practice, you have to see how this pain arises. Initially it appears like a solid pain. My leg is aching, paining. I have a burning sensation in my back. Right? So that way we feel initially. And we have certain kind of anger or aversion towards this pain. But when you get closer, when you let go of this aversion, and when you observe that pain for a while, you realize it is not a solid pain. Instead, it's more like pain bubbles, a collection of pain bubbles are there. You have to let go of that aversion in order to understand or experience these things. If you have aversion towards the pain, you feel a solid pain. But if you get closer to the pain and see, then you realize it has a kind of a bubble kind of a nature. One moment this point gets extreme pain, next moment it is relieved. That kind of observation you can do in the practice. Buddha says when it comes to the pain, you have aversion underneath. When pain comes, we don't like it. We have this aversion kind of a reaction towards it. And when it comes to pleasure, you have attraction towards it. You want to catch it, you want to hold it, you want it to last longer. Right? So when it comes to pain, underneath you have aversion. When it comes to pleasure, underneath you have attraction. That's how he explains these two ends. And when it comes to middle, the neutral feeling, you have ignorance. Towards the neutral feeling, what you have is ignorance. You don't know there's this neutral feeling. You are ignorant towards it. But every day, for the majority of our time, we are experiencing this neutral feeling. For example, let's say, when you sit in meditation, sometimes you feel thousands and thousands of sounds are passing through. Road sounds, vehicles, noises, nature sound. So many sounds are there. But most of the time, we don't notice these things. We don't get a reaction towards these things. But let's say there is a voice of a family member. What will happen? Immediate reaction you will get. Right? Some unpleasant sound. Immediate reaction you get. But much of those sounds are neutral feelings. Even in our body, we have so many neutral feelings. That's why it is difficult to keep attention with the body. Our mind is not used to paying attention to neutral feelings. We have practiced ignorance towards neutral feelings. And when you try to keep attention with the breathing or the walking, you feel your mind is going crazy. It is going to all the pleasurable and painful feelings, but ignoring the neutral. So in a way, by holding on to the middle, we understand these two extremes, these two ends, pleasure and pain. As well as we try to be aware of this neutral feeling. That's why you start to feel that there are so many bodily sensations. You start to feel there are so many sounds in the background. You start to feel sometimes even the thoughts come and I don't get any attachment towards those thoughts. They are simply like passing through. Right? So majority of the things that we experience are neutral. But we don't notice, we don't feel. That's why it says, under the neutral feeling, there is ignorance. So when you practice mindfulness, you become more and more aware about the neutral feeling. Some people, they start to feel bodily vibrations all the time. You do a retreat, you go back home, you start to feel still there are bodily vibrations. And they complain. They say, I was fine when I went to the retreat, but now I feel like this vibration all the time. What is happening to me? They will ask. Right? But you have to take it as a good thing. You have been aware of the neutral feeling. As a result, now there is not so much ignorance. Now you are feeling the neutral feeling more and more. You are experiencing it more and more. So you have come to the middle. Right? That's the very practice. Right? So when you feel those bodily sensations all the time, simply be glad. Simply be glad that you are with the neutral feeling. Earlier also those bodily sensations were there, but you had ignorance towards them because they were neutral. Now you have practiced time after time, and as a result you start to feel your body more and more. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Even in your daily life, when you feel these vibrations in your body, when you feel certain functions in your body, be glad that your practice is working. Naturally, your attention comes to the neutral feeling now. Naturally, you start to feel the breathing. You have been breathing for a long time, but now only you start to feel the breathing in your body. Naturally, you start to feel these vibrations in your body. Inside our body, there are maybe like many factories. Digestion, that's one. Then blood circulation, breathing. So many factories are there. Right? All those processes have been working inside your body. But you haven't noticed. Now, when you develop your awareness towards neutral feeling, you start to feel these functions. You start to feel these factories at work. Your belly sounds, you might feel more and more. You might feel your heartbeat once in a while. You might feel breathing or the temperature control in your body. Right? So those functions become more obvious when you practice. Most people find fault with this. They say, I am feeling all these things I don't like. But you have to understand, it comes as a result of your repetitive practice. Now your attention comes to the neutral feeling. Now you are not so ignorant towards the neutral feeling. So that's a good thing. Consider it as a benefit of your practice. And as long as you are with the breathing, as long as you are with those bodily vibrations, you are mindful. That is actual. Earlier you have been thinking, planning, feeling pleasure and pain all those times. Now you are feeling the neutral feeling. There is no real harm in it. Right? So that way we have to improve our practice. We have to be happy that the practice is working. Most people say, Bhante, now I start to feel the breathing naturally. In our daily life, I start to feel the breathing. Even in our daily life, when I walk, I start to feel the steps. So that's a good thing, that your practice is working. So that way, we hold on to the middle, we come to the neutral feeling. And by coming to the neutral feeling, we understand those two ends. You are understanding those two ends. And then Buddha says, you have to let go of the middle as well. Now this one is tricky. Even yesterday we talked about how to let go of the present. Today let's talk about how to let go of this neutral feeling. Now let's say there's this quote from Rumi. He says, yesterday I was smart, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. That's one of the popular quotes from Rumi, Sufism, right? So this quote, we can use it to explain letting go of the middle. Usually the meditators, they like to be peaceful. They like that neutral feeling. That's what they are after. Let's say even you will say, if I feel that calm in my meditation is successful. But if I feel agitations, if I feel friction, if I feel noises, my meditation wasn't successful. That's the usual idea of you people. In a way, it's holding on to the middle. Initially it helped, don't get me wrong. Initially it helped. But now, you have to let go of the middle as well. Don't try to change other people. Change yourself. Don't try to find a world without disturbances. Instead, adjust yourself to encounter those disturbances. That's what Rumi is saying. Yesterday I was smart, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, I am changing myself. That change is important. That different attitude is important. When we meditate, most of the time, you get certain advice initially, but when we discuss, when we practice time after time, the advice changes. And most people come and complain, but you are contradicting yourself. Earlier you said this, now you are saying this. I'm confused. That's true. Earlier, according to that situation, I said that. Now, according to current situation, the answer is different. You have to hold on to the middle first. That's how you can understand the two ends. But one day you have to let go of the middle as well. When you let go of the middle, it is different. The advice is different. Right? So in a way, we have to figure out a way to live in this difficult world. That's why we say, do your walking meditation. After probably 1 hour, you have to stop it. Do your sitting meditation. After 1 hour, you might have to stop it. Most people, when they are addicted to that calm, that peacefulness that comes with the practice, they want to stay in the walking forever. They want to stay in the sitting forever. And they want to become residential at the retreat center. Not for 3 days, forever. Right? But we are not accepting that. Tomorrow you'll be kicked out. Right? Definitely. Right? So in a way, you come to a retreat. You enjoy this peace. Again, you have to go to the world. By going to the world, you will encounter so many difficulties, friction. And see whether, when you encounter friction, do you lose your practice? Do you lose your peace? Then it's not real peace. Right? You have this romantic picture about practice. You say, I go to a forest and I'll be ever peaceful. That's the very idea. Even when you get mad with your spouse, you say, I'll go to a forest and I'll be meditating. That's not the way. You can stay in a forest. You can be peaceful. But that peace might not be a lasting peace. That peace might be due to the lack of objects. Now, when we are in a retreat center, we have lack of difficulties, lack of objects. Due to that, we are peaceful. That peace is important, but one day you will have to go to the village and see. You have to go to your family members and see. You have to go to work and see whether the practice really works. Right? So that experiment is more like letting go of the middle. That experiment is important. That experiment is for the yogis who want to develop their practice towards a lasting peace. Otherwise, if you hold on to that calmness, then you are stuck there. You are holding on to the middle and you are stuck there. Right? That's what most people complain about. They say, I have been practicing for so long, but I don't see a lasting peace. Why? They are holding on to that middle. They don't like the world, they don't accept the world. If your peace is real, then you should be peaceful either in a forest or a fish market. Right? Both places, that peace should last. If you're only peaceful in a forest, then that's not the real peace. Maybe like holding on to the middle, that's what happens. So when it comes to a sitting session, let's say, when it is peaceful, when it is really calming, that's okay, that's fine, that's good. But when certain sitting sessions are so much painful, so much chaos, so much irritation in the sitting session, that too you have to welcome. That is an opportunity for you to let go of the middle. I know someone, he says that early in the morning, this person does a sitting session. Then he goes to work. Then at night, he does another sitting session. So he is saying, but then my morning session is successful. Night session is chaos. I feel so much tiredness. I feel so much pain. I feel so many thoughts in the sitting session. So that is not successful. That idea is wrong. Early morning you are calm and peaceful. That's good to start the day. But that maybe the session at night, that must be the most productive one. We don't feel it, we don't see it. It's an opportunity for you to let go of the middle. Right? And certain thoughts come, pain appears, tiredness, all those things are there, utter chaos. But amidst this, you are able to be mindful. That's the very idea. And when that happens, sometimes some people, they feel certain kind of psychological pains that are physically manifested. It's a psychological pain, but they feel it physically manifested in their body. Let's say you are fine when you are doing your usual things, but as soon as you sit in your meditation, you feel this pain sometimes. That pain is psychological, but it is physically manifested in your body. And most people question what is happening, why this pain comes. But that's not the way. You have to accept it. You have to go through it. When you are letting go of the middle, those things happen. Those things appear. I remember one person, he was having, whenever he does a sitting session, left eye get like really red, like a demon red, and tearing out. So throughout the sitting session, this happens. This person was questioning what is happening to my eye, only left eye. What is happening, right? But it is more like a pre-surgery that's happening during the sitting. You have to accept it. You have to welcome it. No, the practice works. And when you face it for a few weeks, it will disappear gradually. When you face those psychological pains that are physically manifested, when you face them for a few weeks, you realize now it has disappeared and you feel much more lighter, less baggage that you will feel. So these situations I'm explaining in a way, that's the way to let go of the middle. Even sometimes certain thoughts, maybe those pent up anger, aversion, they might come towards a certain person or towards a certain incident. You start to feel. Sometimes incident from the childhood. Right? When those things come, you have to face them. You have to mindfully face them. Let them come. Let them come and go. You don't have that comfort in your sitting. You don't feel peaceful. But for the sake of the practice, we allow it. And when that happens, you realize every time you face these situations mindfully, there is a teeny tiny energy loss. I am saying teeny tiny. So you don't feel it right away. Maybe for weeks, maybe for months, you might have to face it. Time after time, this incident comes. And when you face it for such a long time, then one day suddenly it hits you, you realize, okay, these things, they have lost their energy. Still the anger comes, but it is not so powerful. Still the aversion comes, it is not so powerful. Still the lust appears, but it is not so powerful. By facing them, they lose their energy. You have to face them mindfully. If you encourage it, then you give more and more energy. It's like pulling a fire. But when you face it mindfully, you realize there's a teeny tiny energy loss. That you don't feel right away, but within months maybe, you start to feel, still these incidents come to my mind, but I don't feel so much aversion or so much energy towards them. Still the lust come to my mind, but they have lost energy. That experience you will have. Usually when it comes to things like anger, when it comes to things like lust, those topics are difficult to talk about. Especially with a beginner, it's difficult. We have to tell them, okay, let the lust be, let the anger be. You do this practice for a few months. Then we can start discussing at least. We are starting discussing. Not getting rid of lust or not getting rid of anger. These are core human emotions related to survival. So it's not easy to talk about them, but at least if you do a few months of practice, then we can start discussing them. I remember one of the 4 days, Nissarana, after delivering a Dhamma talk, one person chased after me and said one day, I came for the very first time, I came from Gaul, I have a question. I said, what's the question? He said, I have anger issues. How to get rid of anger? For a beginner, for the first day he has come. Now you have to answer how to get rid of anger. I told him, come once again, we'll discuss later. Right? He feels like I'm not answering his question, but there is no right, direct answer to that. How can you talk about anger or lust with a newbie who just came for the retreat? That's not easy. We have to tell them, okay, you keep practicing. You continue for a few months, revisit the place, come and stay for a few days. Then we can start talking at least. That's how it should be. We are talking about your core emotions. They are related to your survival. Right? We are born to do these things. Lust, anger, we are born with them. And those qualities, you have to take your time. You have to do your practice, and then at least we can start discussing. And when you practice, when you face them mindfully, you realize, little by little, they are losing energy. Still the anger is there, still the lust is there, but they are not so powerful. So these are signs that you are able to let go of the middle. That part is difficult to explain, but that part you can experience. You can experience that you are letting go of your certain opinion. You can experience that you are letting go of your views. You can experience that you are becoming more empathetic. You can experience that you are becoming more flexible. Those qualities will improve when you let go of the middle. If you keep on holding on to the middle, those changes won't happen. You are stuck there. You think that the world should be a place without disturbances. You try to change the world. That's not easy. And when you let go of the middle, what comes next? That's the important part. Now when it comes to the practice, when it comes to the Nibbana, what type of a feeling that is? One time, this bhikkhu came to Venerable Sariputta and he was asking, Bhante, when you attain Nibbana, what type of feeling that's there? Then Venerable Sariputta says, there is no feeling. He says there is no feeling. Then this monk is complaining, Bhante, if there is no feeling, what is the use? We better not do it. Right? You have to have the feeling in order to experience something. If there is no feeling, then what's the use? This monk is asking. But you have to understand, if you are in the pleasurable end, if you are in the painful end, it's like two sides of the same coin, feeling. Right? Most people think when they hold on to the middle, they are fine, they are safe. But actually the middle is also a part of the same process, same extreme. Either pain, either pleasure, either neutral. If you are caught with one of those feelings, then you are caught in samsara. That's what happens to earlier yogis. Even before Buddha, they were practicing meditation. They were attaining all those jhanas. They were doing metta meditation. They were doing certain meditation types. But nobody was safe. Nobody attained Nibbana. Why? They were holding on to the middle. They were thinking that this neutral feeling is the bliss. The neutral feeling is the lasting peace. That's what they were thinking. But when you hold on to the neutral feeling, eventually other two extremes will follow. That's what happens. The pain will naturally follow. The pleasure will naturally follow. And at the end of the day, you are in the same struggle once again. Right? So that's the uniqueness with Buddha. Buddha is saying, you have to let go of the feeling entirely. Either painful, either pleasurable, either neutral, one day you will have to let go. And Nibbana is defined as something no feeling. You have gone beyond feeling. You have transcended feeling. That's what Venerable Sariputta is saying. And that's the way to attain real peace in this world. Or real fulfillment in this world. So I hope this Dhamma talk was useful. I encourage you to keep on practicing and experience these things in your practice.